Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Cooking with Tovia. Today I'm doing a collaboration with Ellen's Homemade Delights. Please stop by her channel, check out what she's making. I'm going to post a link to her video in the description box. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make cinnamon scrolls with apple cream cheese gravy. Guys, I'm going to tell you something. This is the bomb. This is everything you're going to want to serve. You can serve this for breakfast. You can serve this for your holiday desserts. And the best thing about these cinnamon scrolls is they're actually a scone and a cinnamon roll rolled into one. So this recipe doesn't require any yeast. Please know that you can find the recipe in the description box. And I'm going to just give everyone a shout out. Thank you so much for being there. Thank you for all your well wishes. While I've been sick, I'm still recovering, but I'm still going because I love you all. So please share this video because it's very detailed and it's going to help you guys out a lot. So I have here in the bowl my all-purpose flour. I'm using King Arthur's all-purpose flour. It's good to use really high-end flour when baking. Here I have my baking soda, baking powder, and salt. That was in that one bowl. I already pre-measured it. And I'm just going to whisk those together. I have here a little bit of nutmeg. I absolutely hate nutmeg, but nutmeg actually works in this recipe. So just a little bit of nutmeg. And finally we're going to add the sugar. So I have my butter that's completely frozen. I cut it into cubes. This makes for a very flaky pastry. My buttermilk is pretty much frozen still, but that I have the buttermilk on the side here. So I'm using my pastry blender to just break apart the butter to blend the butter and flour together. And this would mix our dough very puff like, almost like a puff pastry. Oops. So I'm going to use my fingers to just clean in between my blades of my pastry blender. I'm going to use my hands here to just sort of press everything through because they're, you know, a little bit larger than pea size, but we want it to be about pea size crumbles. So the pastry blenders help us out a bit, but our hands is our best tool. It's okay to have a few pieces of butter here that's quite large, and I'll show you why. You have to forgive me if I'm making any errors. I've been sick, so I'm still recovering. So next I'm going to just take my rubber spatula and just create like a well in the middle here, and I'm going to pour my icy cold buttermilk in this middle and just begin to fold everything and turn. I'm doing this so I won't overwork the flour because we're going to be handling it a lot. So we're trying to incorporate everything without building too much of the gluten structure. Okay, so it's pretty much moistened here. My bench scraper to scrape my spatula off. I'm going to scrape the bowl really good. I'm going to lightly flour my surface with a little bit of bench flour here. And I'm going to begin to pull the dough together with my hands now. And just press till you feel it start to come together. And I'm going to begin to knead the dough. Not really so kneading it as we're going to make a bread, but just to sort of help pull everything together. Now at any point, if you feel that the dough is a little bit too dry, you could drizzle a little bit of buttermilk over it. Just a couple little drops. So I have some buttermilk and I'm just going to drip over. And just fold it in. As I'm folding it in, I'm turning the dough and just pressing it out. So we're not really kneading the dough, but we're just sort of mixing it still. Okay. So we're going to begin by rolling out our dough. I'm using a tapered rolling pin, and I'm going to just lightly dust the top of my dough here and dust my rolling pin down. And I'm just going to apply some pressure, because remember the butter is still in big chunks. So as we're rolling this out, we're going to be sort of pressing all that butter in together with the dough. So I'm going to start from one end and just press. I'm going to lift up the rolling pin. And you can see all the specks of nutmeg in there already. I'm going to fold the dough over and I'm going to roll it again. Just applying some really good pressure to kind of press all that butter in to the dough. If it begins to stick to your rolling pin, just grab some more bench flour and dust it down. Dust your rolling pin down. So when I roll it the opposite direction, I'm actually not really per se rolling it, but I'm just letting it glide across before I add the pressure. So I'm going to lift the dough. I'm going to go ahead and begin to shape this into a sort of a rectangle-ish shape. So I'm pressing it into a squarish shape just to kind of get the dough even. And then I'm going to just begin to roll. If you have any creases like this here, just take your rolling pin and just roll over it. So I'm going to roll this out to about 1/4 inch thick. Try to keep it in a rectangle-ish shape. It doesn't have to be perfect, because I'm going to show you how we're going to fix it in the end. So I'm just going to keep rolling. I want to say we're going to try to roll it to about 10 inches in length and about 8 inches in width, so about 10 by 8. I said it doesn't have to be perfect. So any edges here, I'll just press out with my hand. I'm going to lift the dough a bit, because it's going to stick. So if you have a problem with sticking, just take your bench scraper, scrape all that off, and if you have any butter or anything, put it in one hand, dust it back down, and then that butter that we scraped from the work surface, just throw it on top. So I'm just checking both sides to make sure nothing is sticking. So press everything together. I'm going to give it one final roll. And I'm being as detailed as possible for those who are new to baking. So I'm picking my rolling pin back up and I'm going to roll it upward. Just keep picking the rolling pin up as we roll it in the opposite direction. So I have some butter it's at room temperature. It's very soft. I know more butter, right? I'm just going to break it apart and just drop it across the top. Doesn't have to be too perfect, but just makes it easier to work with. I have a little mini spatula, icing spatula here. I already have some brown sugar in there because I whipped up a little quick batch of brown sugar, which you can find the recipe for that in the description box. So I'm just sort of brushing this. It doesn't have to be perfectly brushed because this has a lot of butter in it, but we just want to add a little bit more butter on top. Then I have here my brown sugar and cinnamon. I'm gonna mix those two together, the brown sugar and cinnamon. I'm gonna just place it onto our dough. If you want to use your hands, you can. Just spread out all over. So what I'm going to do is take the side that's not so neat and I'm going to just roll it. Just like you would cinnamon roll. But don't push it down so much. Try to roll it and not press it down. Don't smush it down. Okay, so all this on the edge. Let's brush it up. If it sticks a little bit, just use your bench scraper to help you scrape the dough up. So I'm gonna cut this into we're gonna cut this into even pieces. So what I'm gonna do, I might get about 6 or 8, I believe. I have my baking sheet here. This is a 12 by 9. So I'm just going to cut this in half, our dough here. Then I'm going to cut each half in half. And then I'm going to split each of them. Then just line them up in our baking tray here. And I'm going to just sort of lay them in the middle here and just press them all together because they're going to help each other rise. So I'm going to flatten them. So I put my cinnamon rolls in a 12 by 9 baking tray here. This is quarter baking sheet pan. And I pour melted butter on the bottom. I placed the cinnamon rolls into the pan and I smushed them down to flatten them. They're touching each other because they're going to help each other rise. This pan is going to go into a preheated 425-degree Fahrenheit oven for exactly 14 minutes. So we're going to begin by melting our butter, and I'm using unsalted butter. And we're going to put our butter. And then I have an apple that I just chopped very fine. And then we're just going to cook the two together for a few moments. We just want to cook it till the apples begin to get tender. So it might take about 3 to 4 minutes. I'm using a Macintosh apple. So the butter has been browning the apples now for about 4 minutes. So this is what we want. So now I'm going to add to my apples here some cinnamon. I'm going to give that a quick mix. And then I have here some cream cheese. About 4.5 tablespoons of cream cheese, that is. I'm going to turn the heat to low. And I am going to just keep mixing until that cream cheese is beginning to melt. I'm also going to put in some icing sugar, or confectionary sugar, as we may call it some places. So I'm just going to keep mixing this on low heat because this is going to become very thin. So I'm back here on medium heat. I'm just set the heat back up a bit. And I'm just mixing until everything is completely combined. The cream cheese is going to be completely runny. We're almost there. Okay, so this is done. Remove from the heat. I'm gonna pour it into a gravy dish. Our cinnamon scrolls are ready. So I'm gonna hand pull them from the oven because you want to serve everything hot. So here is our cinnamon scrolls. I just took them out of the oven, and you see they're kind of flaky with layers. So that's because we took our time and we folded the dough several times and we turned it, and this smells amazing. Oh my god. So I'm gonna go ahead and take pictures and show you guys everything up close. So here's our cinnamon scrolls and our apple gravy. I can't wait to taste this. Oh my god, this looks amazing. It's really, you can see all the caramel that's in between from where we put our cinnamon sugar. So because I don't want to have this go all over the place on me, I'm just going to use a spoon to scoop some of that apple gravy. Scoop some of that apple gravy over. Oh my god, this is so perfect for the winter time because it's so cold outside. We always want something so good and comforting. But look at that beautiful crumb as you see here. They're nice and fluffy and big. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut it to the middle so you can see the inside. Like I said, there's no yeast in this. So see, it's light, fluffy. I'm squeezing it. Okay, so let's give this a taste with the apple gravy. Oh my god. Oh my god. Wow. The outside is so perfect. It's crunchy, but the inside is so light and fluffy. The gravy on this is amazing. It's like eating a cream cheese apple pie almost. So delicious, so perfect for your holidays. Please add this video to your playlist and share it. But don't share your cinnamon scrolls with anyone. Just tell them to make their own unless you're going to give it to them as a gift because they're too good to share. Too good. Please remember to live and be well. Let's do what we can to come together as one. Thank you all so much for watching.